And we are good to go. Okay. So, like I said, we are talking about Instagram tonight. I feel like we do not talk about it enough. And it is a skill set that I have worked very hard and very, very long on. To preface, I always get a ton of questions about how I have my following, how I've built my following, how I've gotten it to where it is. And I do want to say that I have literally been on Instagram since I was 16. And I'm 24 now. So I remember like when Instagram was made. I made an Instagram. So I've been on it for forever. So when you see my high follower count or you see the evolution or that I'm really good at it, know that it took a very long time. It's the same thing as trusting in the process of network marketing, growing your Instagram following, and creating a brand on there and an audience that engages and likes and all that stuff. It takes time. So know that your success in network marketing is not determined by a follower count. I would rather connect with 2 people than trying to connect with 2,000 that are not interested in what I'm talking about and that aren't the same kind of person that I am. So your follower count does not determine your success. It's about producing authentic, valuable content for who is watching and really having those relationships and that engagement, even if that only means you have 50 followers or 100 or 500 or 5,000. It doesn't matter. It's about kind of working with what you have and growing from that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is basically the overall look of your Instagram. Like I always say, we're going to call it like mirror checking yourself with what it looks like. And the most important thing when somebody is going to follow you back on Instagram is the way that it looks. And, we teach all about authenticity and being vulnerable and being messy and sharing your story, which I love to do. And I do that on my Insta stories, and I'm going to talk about that. But the appearance of your actual Instagram, your first 9 pictures somebody sees, your bio, your profile picture, all of that needs to be appealing. It needs to flow. It needs to have a theme. It has to catch somebody's eye. You have a very small amount of time to catch somebody's eye. And if you follow them and all they see are product posts or all they see are, blurry pictures or it doesn't flow together or it's not enticing, they're probably not going to follow you back. So that image and that pretty factor and having the same filter on everything, that theme and kind of cohesiveness is super important with Instagram. You have, like I said, a small amount of time to catch somebody's kind of attention to want to follow you back. So really important with that is your picture and your bio. So make sure that it's just a clear picture of yourself. Bright, fun, colorful, whatever your theme may be, make sure they can see you in your profile picture. And in your bio, I do not want your Lavelle link. I do not want Lavelle promoter, Thrive promoter. I don't delete it. Get rid of it. I don't want it there. People do not go on social media to be sold to. And especially on Instagram, they want to follow accounts that inspire them, that they think look nice, that they connect to, that they relate to. It's more of like opening a magazine on Instagram. So in your bio, I don't want any of that. I want you to write things about yourself. So for me, it says the town that I live in, which I will talk about because that is a huge part for me growing my following, especially in the area that I'm in. It says that I'm a fur mom, and it says wino or something like that. So just like, it's basically like my dating profile, but to pretty girls on Instagram that I want to add. So write things about yourself. You don't have to say that you're a brand promoter or, social media this or that I work on that. Just be yourself because that's what's going to attract people to you. That just scared the bejesus out of me. So make sure that is clean, that your link is not in, nothing like that. And then I want you to take an honest look at your profile. And when I compare it to mine, I don't want your page to look like mine. I don't want it to be like mine because that's me, but I want you to look at kind of the way that mine flows and that when you look at it, it's a story and it's appealing to the eye and it catches your attention and it's all cohesive together. And that's what it's important. And that doesn't mean that you have to be traveling all over or be in these beautiful places or, be a professional photographer. You can work with what you have and make your Instagram so much more appealing. I don't care if it's a picture that's maybe not that great, or maybe it isn't the best background or scenery, but if you edit it and you put a filter on it and you make it go with your theme, you can still make it work for you. So you need to make sure that when somebody looks at your Instagram, that it's catching their attention, so look at it and ask yourself, is it clean? Does it flow together? Does it do this and that? And if you honestly just feel lost and you're like, I don't know what pictures to post and I don't know how to make it look cohesive and I don't know, what theme I want. Ooh, or what filter I want and this and that. Enroll in the University of Pinterest and Google. Enroll yourself. Okay. That's what I call my college. That is my education. I am on Pinterest all the time. I am looking at Instagram themes. I'm looking at different editing apps. I am looking at other people's feeds on my Explore feed. I'm always looking at different things to see the way different people do it, the different kinds of pictures they take. So for you, yours might be totally different than mine. Maybe you're a mom and it's pictures of your kid in their car seat or your kid in their crib or anything like that. You can still make them look pretty. You can still make it appealing and take it serious. If you take that little bit of time and really get to know your phone and get to know pictures and recognize lighting and okay, maybe that's not a great picture. Maybe that's really dark or blurry or not so great. You have to kind of work on tweaking things. And if you know me in real life, you know that I am a Nazi with that stuff. I will make you tap your screen before you take it. I will make you put your HDR setting on. Every one of my friends, I have to edit every single picture they take around me because I want it to look a certain way because that's what I'm presenting people on Instagram. That's what's making them follow me back. So it doesn't have to be, like I said, the perfect scenery or this amazing life or this and that, but you can work with what you've got. I remember when it was probably 2 or 3 years ago at this point, I was in a basement apartment that literally had no windows. No windows. There was no lighting. There was nothing I could do. So when I was going to go take a selfie, I would walk outside of my driveway with my landlord staring at me, and I would stand in front of this big green tree, and I would take a picture there because the lighting looked better, and I could edit it, and it looked like I was outside in something pretty, and really I'm standing in a concrete driveway with my landlord staring at me and me wiping sweat off my forehead every 2 seconds. But you work with what you have. So don't be afraid to pay more attention to the backgrounds, about lighting, about, like I said, having the HDR setting on if you have an iPhone. And also when you're taking a picture, like I said, always tap the screen with what you're focusing on and it will kind of adjust the lighting better. But the appearance of it is probably the most important because if that's not cohesive, if that doesn't look good together, if it looks like you're just selling them something this or that, all the other things that you do to grow your Instagram, like hashtags and following people and doing this and that, if they then go to your page and there's nothing drawing them in, then all of that is a waste of time. You know what I mean? Like if it's messy and it's not clean and it's blurry pictures and they're not like, ooh, like I do want to follow her. She looks interesting or she looks fun or look, she went here or that picture looks nice. It's kind of like you're working backwards because then they're not going to follow you if they're not interested in your page. 1 second, I want to answer Paige's question. I'm in a mom's group on Facebook and we all created pods for Instagram. They added me to one. Can you explain how that works? Is there something or is there somewhere I can get good info on Instagram pods? So what I believe that is, I was in one before I started network marketing and I dabbled in fashion blogging. Did not work out for me. I was in a pod and basically it's kind of like our post love pods, stuff like that. So when somebody posts a picture, they tell, and then you go through and just each day you make sure to like and engage on their Instagrams. I think it's just like our post love pod that we had. Personally, I may be wrong, but that's what I think it is. It's just a group of people coming together to help with likes and engagement on your pictures. So I want you to mirror check yourself on what your Instagram looks like. Take out the links, take out the spam, take out any graphics or, stuff that it doesn't flow. I call it puzzle pieces. It should look like it goes together. And how you accomplish that is by editing and by filters. So I get asked this all the time about editing my pictures. So if you don't know, I'm sorry, I'm beating a dead horse with this, if that's the terminology. I use Photoshop Express, PS Express, and I use VSCO Cam, and that's what I put filters on my pictures. So for Photoshop Express, I got that on my phone so long ago. I do not know if it costs money. It might. It shouldn't be over $2.99 because I used to be a broke. So I don't think it was that much money, but I have literally used that for 4 years and it is so worth it. So I would download PS Express and VSCO Cam. And PS Express, if you do have it, or if you're downloading it, jot this down. This isn't going to make sense until you see the app. But when I bring a picture in there to edit it, I up the shadows, which makes the picture lighter. So the shadows button, I up it. I up my clarity, little scroll button thing. I up my contrast a little bit, and I do reduce noise. So I do shadows, clarity, contrast, and reduce noise, which literally probably sounds like Spanish if like you don't know what I'm saying, but those are the different things. But play around with it. So when I used to have a different filter I always put on, my filters were very cool toned. It was a lot of blues and whites and blacks and stuff like that. It wasn't like oranges or yellows or colors like that. So when I did that, I would turn the temperature down because it would make the picture bluer instead of oranger. You have to play around with it. But like I said, University of YouTube, go on YouTube and say PS Express training or PS Express photo edit. Like you can find stuff training on anything you want to. So I do that to edit my picture. That makes it sharper, that makes it clear, it makes it look good. And then every single picture that I use gets the same exact filter. Currently on VSCO Cam, I'm using C8. I mean, you don't have to use which filter I use. Obviously, I want you to figure out what you like or what color tones you like. But even just by placing that on every single picture, it makes it cohesive. So focus on taking better quality pictures, the lighting, the background, where you're at. Like, don't be afraid. Like if you're driving down the road and there's a really pretty brick wall, like you better make your spouse stop the car and get out and take a picture with the brick wall. Like these things, this is where you have to get pretty with certain things and you have to get good content to post. If we go on vacations, I take 80 million pictures because like my life is not that interesting here, but I'll have pictures to post for forever. Like when Jen comes here on vacation, she's like, I need to stock up on Instagram pictures, and we'll pick different backgrounds. And when we have our makeup on, because that happens only once every 10 days for me, I take pictures. You know, if you're driving in, like, I know downtown Oklahoma City, they have those really cool like art walls, or if I'm at a restaurant and I get a pretty drink, I take a pic, like random things, take advantage of it. And that's how you kind of get that like aesthetic and pretty factor with your Instagram, so that when you are doing these things I'm going to talk about to grow your network, they see your page and they do want to follow you back. You know, they're not like, oh, she's selling me something, like, oh, I relate to her life, and you know, she's good at editing her pictures and that looks really cool and this and that. So take that as a skill set and work on it, because I'm telling you that will change your Instagram a ton. And even if you only have 50 followers, if your page looks cool and somebody's appealed to it, like they're going to follow you anyways. Follower count does not matter. So look at my Instagram. Oh, Molly, did you just want to let yourself in? Okay. My dog can open doors apparently. So look at my Instagram. And like I said, you don't have to copy what I do. I want it to be you, if it's your kids, if it's your dogs, if it's whatever you're doing on a daily basis. But look at kind of the puzzle piece thing I said, how it's cohesive and how it flows. So my Instagram is EMC Hastings, and just somebody else to reference. And this is kind of who I like saw the whole filtering from. She's a woman that does Plexus, I think, but her Instagram is The Mommy Wood. Her page is great. So don't be afraid to like get inspiration from people. I like to look at different people's profiles with their filters and like what they're taking pictures of and how it all flows together. So dig into that. That's super helpful. So I talked about editing, filtering, the aesthetic of your page. Okay, so now it's going to go to how I grow my network on social media or Instagram. So for me, I have found that it is a lot easier to grow your cold market on Instagram. People don't think you're creepy. If your page doesn't look like you're selling a product, they're not going to think, oh, well, she's just in an MLM. She's trying to do this or that. It is very easy for me to grow my cold network on Instagram because I've made my page look appealing and because they don't think I'm spamming them or anything. Like it's not anything salesy. So currently my page is working the best for me on public because I do like the way my page looks and I think that it's appealing. And I add probably 20 to 30 people every single day on Instagram. Now, where do I find those people? A lot of them I find through the like location tab. So if you go to your explore feed, I have the hiccups. This is the wrong time for this. And you go to places, I think it says, I add a lot of people in my area, a lot of women my age, anyone that's out at the places I'm at. So I look up the city I'm in, I look up the state I'm in, the mall by me, boutiques by me, anywhere I go in my area when I leave, I look up that location. We went to a concert at this like small, it's called the Diamond Ballroom here. We went there. When we left there the next day, I went to that place on my locations and I saw girls that were my age or women that were with their boyfriends or their husbands or people my age. And I added people who were at the concert the night before. Not that I met them or anything, but when they went to my page, they saw my last picture was me going to that concert. You know what I mean? So when you do that, and for me, I have, like I said, my location in my bio. Anyone I add in Oklahoma isn't going to be like, why the heck is this girl adding me? Like my location's there. They know where I live. So it's very, kind of fluid with that. Like I don't get questions like, oh, why are you adding me? It's very, very easy for me to add people. So I do the locations. And then I do go on my explore feed a lot and I just look for people that I think I would relate to. I do search hashtags. So anything that relates to me, my area, what I'm doing, my dogs, literally anything. You can search any hashtag in the freaking world and find people that are like you or relate to you or maybe like the same things or have the same hobbies or anything like that. It is endless how many people you can find and add on social media, but make sure that you are paying attention to the type of people that you're adding. So for me, I'm going to add other people that have the same interest, that do take note of what their social media looks like. So I do like the look of their page. I do like that they're active. You know, I see what their life is about. Those are the kind of people I want to add, not just people who, you know, aren't posting or maybe I don't like their style of posting or this and that. So it is very, very easy to grow your network on Instagram, to add people. And it's easy to get followers back when your page is appealing, when it, you know, it looks like you put time into it, when it's something that they can be inspired by or anything like that. So that's how I grow my network on Instagram. I do get asked, I use to like unfollow people, I use Cleaner. I don't do it as much as I should. I probably unfollow people once a week and I just go in and unfollow those that maybe haven't followed me back or unfollowed me or anything like that. But I honestly don't spend a ton of time on it. But Cleaner is the one I use. I used to use InstaFollow, but Cleaner is just what I have on my phone. I got locked out of InstaFollow for some reason. I can't get back into it. So that is how I add people. And the way that I show up authentically on my Instagram and the way that I actually connect with people is my story. My Insta story is huge for my business. I would probably say that. And yes, Cleaner is an app where you can unfollow people who haven't followed you. Insta stories and Facebook lives are probably my most like income producing thing on social media. My Insta story connects me with so many people. And the way that I use that, because like I said, my page looks pretty, it looks put together, it's filtered well, like you can see I have an eye for it, but that doesn't show me as a real person. That doesn't show my life. That doesn't make somebody connect with me. That doesn't, you know, show different things about me or what I like or my family or what I'm interested in. I show up in my stories and I share that. So I don't think I have gone a day without posting on my story since stories were a thing. I post on it every single day, and that's how you can show up and be authentic and be messier and be real and just be you and show your day. So whatever I'm doing that day, I show up for it. You know, when I'm waking up, I do show myself doing my 3-step in the morning. You know, today we went and looked at some land. So I was taking videos of the land, or if we got to a meal, I'll take a picture of my meal. Like I just share my day and my personality, and that allows people to connect with me. So yes, they're attracted to my page because they like the look of it, or maybe they're interested in what I'm doing or whatever it may be, but I connect with them on my stories. And that's where I have those connections where I don't have to message people because they're reaching out to me. So I use polls a lot. And I would say that I do most of my selling in my story. So while I am showing up authentically and sharing my life and my family and my dogs and basically everything I do on a daily basis, it is where I am able to sell more, like show the products more, show promos more, you know, sell samples more without feeling salesy, because it's not a post that's like messing up my Instagram feed. I don't ever do it in a salesy way. I don't think. I try really hard not to. But like I said, I do show myself doing my 3-step. I make it cute. I, you know, show my nice wood table in the background or my bouquet of flowers, and I do boomerangs and fun edits and stuff, but I do still show up and, you know, do that. If I'm ever mailing a sample out, I put that on. I was doing a rest sample and I took a picture of it and put it up. I went on my story today and I did talk about the opportunity, but it's so mixed in with my life that it doesn't feel like I'm selling anybody and they're getting a different side of me. And I always get replies to my stories, even if it's not about the products. Like if I'm reading a book, you know, people ask me, oh, what book is that? I always screenshot like passages and stuff when I'm reading. They'll ask me where my clothes are from. They'll ask me, you know, oh, what lipstick is that? Like I get those conversations through Insta stories because I'm showing up, and your Insta stories will get so many more views than your pictures do likes. So even with how much I've built it up, and obviously, like I said, I've been on Instagram for a long time. So like a good picture will get like 500 and something likes, but like my Insta story every day gets like 1,600 views. Like so many more people are active on stories rather than on their feeds. So your feed appeals people to you, but what they're going to be tuned into every day is watching your story. So make sure that you're using them. If you ever need to see kind of like what I do post, go to my highlights and look back through kind of what I post or what I'm doing on a daily basis. And anything that I do on my Insta story, I do automatically share it to my Facebook story. You can set it up that way so you don't have to like post to both. But that is how I show up and how I'm authentic. If we have sales or stuff like that, that's where I post it. I don't post like the email graphic or anything, but you know, I'll do like a boomerang of a thing of DFTs and be like, any orders today, like can get this for free, or, you know, whatever the sale may be. That's how I show up, and how I get a lot of potentials messaging me is through my stories, through polls. I did a poll today. I talked about my journey and why I chose this company. And then I said, look, I want you to click this poll right here if you want some info and if you want to chat. So when you prompt people to do stuff like a call to action, that's where I probably get all my potentials from, all of my sample customers from. Anything is from my stories. So if you're not using your stories, I highly suggest that you do. If you're confused by them, search on YouTube, Insta stories, how to use Instagram stories, Instagram story hacks, stuff like that. Definitely go through that. What else did I want to talk about? I engage authentically through my stories all the time. So that's kind of how I talk to people too. Just like how people reply to my stories, I reply to other people's, and it's never with the intent of selling them on something, but I like organically talk to people because any story they put up, you can reply to it also. So that's a good way to kind of get in contact with people. Let me answer these questions quick. Is there any way to add more than one post to my story each day? Yes, there is. You can add as many as you want to your story a day. You just post one, and then if you're on your feed, you swipe left again to add a new one. If you don't know how to do that, like I said, go on YouTube and search, you know, how to use Instagram stories, and somebody will walk you right through it. Do you get more views on Insta story when public versus private? Absolutely public. Another tip and kind of hack that I do with my Instagram stories is anytime I go somewhere, whether it's a restaurant or a location, I tag where I'm at, because that then goes to like that tag. So let's say I'm like downtown and I tag Oklahoma City. Each day, like wherever you're at has its own story. So they'll add my thing to the Oklahoma City story. And then like people can find my page through that. Or like when I go to a restaurant, I tag the restaurant. So people will see that tag. So that brings people to me a lot. I 100% say public on Instagram right now is how I'm building. Can you tell us how to share to Facebook story and Insta story? That way we don't have to post on Facebook, then go to Insta and post the same thing. So when I am sharing something on my Insta story, I don't remember how I set it up because it's been forever, but now, smile. When I take an Insta story, I just click send to, and when I click my story, it automatically underneath it has like a sent that's not going to show you your Facebook story. So I think that just go to like organically send a story through to Instagram, and it should have like a prompt for you to share it to Facebook also. It's in the settings on IG story. Thank you, Ashley. I didn't know that. It's been so long since I did that. I think that was all I wanted to talk about with Instagram, but Cleaner is the app that I use to unfollow people. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. But yeah, so I would just really honestly work on the image of it and then treat it like a job. Like that's what I say. When I pour effort into my Instagram, I find that I get more followers. I find that I get more engagement. I treat everything in that nature like a job. I don't see this as a job because I love it so much. But, you know, at the end of the night, I will sit down for 30 minutes and, you know, edit a picture or add new people or interact through stories. Like when you treat it like that and you put effort into what your page looks like, that's going to automatically draw people in. Being public, how do you filter the followers you gain? I don't. I mean, like if it's an account I really don't want on there, I'll block it. But if it's just not somebody that I'm like keen on, I just don't follow back. But I don't really have anything like that. The other app was PS Express and VSCO Cam. I'll type it in there right now. Okay, let me quickly pull up the questions y'all had, and then I'm going to send it over to Jen. So hold, please. Of course, I lost it. Molly, I really need you not to bark right now because you're right by the thing. Hold on. Okay, let's see these questions. So I said, for me, public is better for growing my following. If it does not look like you're selling something and it's not all products or all your website, you shouldn't have an issue with people following you back. I think that it only is beneficial for you to be on private if like you were worried about people not following you back. And that's what I kind of realized, where when I had that mindset, I was like, okay, maybe I need to adjust what my page looks like so it doesn't just look like I'm trying to sell to somebody. Hashtags in the post or in the comments. I have been lacking on my hashtag game for a very long time, but I was researching it on Pinterest today. Like I said, I'm always still growing too. And I searched how to master Instagram, how to gain on Instagram, how to use hashtags. You can find so much stuff like that. But personally, I would put your hashtags in the comments, not in the post. I just feel like it kind of makes it look cleaner. I mean, I'm type A, so maybe that's why it like hurts my brain to look at that. But I post them in the comments personally. Does the color scheme, all the same filters on pictures, same type of pictures, get more followers? I believe so, because I think it's more visually appealing, and I think that's what Instagram is all about. Do you organize your following list to keep track of who you interact with? If so, how? No. I used to. When I was in my past company, I would have like a list of 30 people that I would go on and engage with every day. And I honestly just don't have time for that. I don't think that that's super authentic. So for me, if I'm engaging and adding people, like I said, they're showing up in the stories every day that I watch. So I just do it that way. I'm very go with the flow. So if you need to like organize and do stuff like that, I'm probably not the best person to ask that. Ashley, you said something about this like Gary V. Girl, I tried to like look that up on Pinterest and that was way above my head. So I don't know what that's about at all. Do you want to talk about it super quick? Do you mind, or am I putting you on the spot? You're going to talk about it? Okay. Cause I like looked it up and I was like, what? So
okay.
You go ahead.
Okay. So I don't know. I know this sounds weird, but like I kind of forgot the specifics. But basically what you do is like you go to the search bar in Instagram and like you search a hashtag. So like if you're using like a certain hashtag, like hashtag mom life or, you know, hashtag fur mom, whatever, you search that and like you go in the top, because there's always a top 9. You go in like the top 3 to 5 and just leave a genuine comment. You know, like if it's like a fur mom, like just say, hey, oh my gosh, I love your dog. He's so cute. You know, I used to have a dog that same color. Like I can totally relate to what you're saying. You know, just make it genuine. And then a lot of people will see that because these are usually people who have like 10,000 plus following is why they're at the top. And they will usually like follow you back. Plus people who are seeing your comment follow you back. So one lady, and I just told my girls this in my team chat like 30 minutes ago, was I had a woman, I followed her, she was a blogger, and I did that with her, and she instantly followed me back. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And I started interacting on her page, like her stories I was responding to, her page I was commenting on. And then she messages me, and she's like, hey, I seen you were blowing up my stuff. Not really blowing it up. Like, I see you every day. Like, hey, girl, how are you? And we made a genuine friendship. She messaged me today, and I told her, I said, dude, I seriously love your blog. Like, I've been reading your stuff all day. And she messaged me back. She's like, well, I was looking at your page, and I love that you have this product. I don't know what it is, but I'm loving it. Can you send me a sample of it? Like, I don't care how much it is. And she was like, I don't care to try this out for you and like give you a review on my blog for you. And I think she has like 10,000 plus followers, and she's in California making big banks off her blog. So that was all because of Gary's like interaction with the top people, because you think those people have way too many followers to see your comments, but they really don't. And that really helped me get a lot of followers from that.
Okay, you definitely like simplified that, because he was talking about like percents and ratios, and I was like, no.
Girl, forget the numbers, because like I said, I don't remember what it was either. So I just went with, you know what, I'm going to do like 3 to 5, because that's about all I can handle per hashtag. And I do like 2 or 3 hashtags at a time, and I just go about my day. It takes too long to do numbers.
No, that makes a ton of sense, because like I said, especially if you work on the way that your profile looks, even if you don't have a ton of followers, like if you're interacting on a feed like that, and people see that your page looks nice, I can definitely see that as a way to kind of get out there more. So I love it. Thank you for me doing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, so y'all definitely try that out. Write down notes about that, because I think that's awesome, and I'm going to start trying that to see if that works. Okay, I'm going to finish up these questions, and I'm going to go to Jen, because I know it's been forever. Domino's is calling me. Can y'all give me 1 second? Hello?
Alors, si je donne non,
Okay, thank you. So they asked Instagram Lives versus Facebook Lives. I prefer Facebook Lives, and it's not that I'm anti-Instagram Lives. I just honestly, I think I've only ever done one. And for me, it's because I get a lot of engagement. Like on Facebook, Facebook Lives is what gets me engagement. It's what grows my friends. It's where I get potentials from. So that works so well for me, and my stories work so well for me on Instagram. Like I just see it as like kind of prioritizing my time. Like it would take a long time for me to go live on Facebook and then Instagram. And I know that you can do both at one time if like you use an iPad. My dog ate my iPad, so I can't do that. And like I don't like the quality of my laptop. Like it's just not as good. So personally, can y'all look at this, please? He's with pizza. He just dropped the pizza on the grass. I'm done with him. So for me, I find it more income producing to go live on Facebook and use my Insta stories on Insta. But I would love to do more lives on Instagram. I just feel weird when there's only like one person watching me. Like Facebook, it's a lot easier for me to get more views quicker. So I think it's just a personal preference, but I think going live on anything is amazing for your brand. So I say do it. 2, yes, I always in public. What's your favorite thing about Instagram that helps your business boom? Stories, like I said. Do you storytell on Instagram the same way you do on Facebook, or is it better to be short and sweet on Insta? So this gets a mixed review from a lot of people. Personally, I post the same captions on Instagram as I do on Facebook. So a lot of them are long and lengthy, but I do find that a lot of people read them. I mean, it might just be a lot of you guys, but I get a lot of comments. So I'm not sure. I think that Instagram is definitely a place where you can post stuff that maybe doesn't have as much meaning, but is a really cool picture and you can still get a lot of likes. Like you don't have to have an in-depth or story tell. So you can story tell on your story or by going live, but I still do in my Instagram because I feel like with it being so edited and being so filtered and me trying to make it look pretty, which is kind of against everything we tell you to do. Like, I just want you to be authentic. I feel like the captions kind of help bring it back to real life. You know what I mean? So I still story tell on Instagram like I do on Facebook, but you can also just do stuff because it's a pretty picture and you don't have to have a great caption. And then, like I said, you can connect in your story rather than on your post. Instagram highlights. Now, that is something that took my brain a little bit to set up. Now that I have it set up, it's super easy for me, but I have posted a screen recording of me setting up an Instagram highlight on our team page. So search Instagram highlights and it should pull up like how I made mine and how I added them. So I now have it on my profile, but if that still doesn't make sense because I feel like I'm not the best at explaining things, YouTube it. And how to market without spamming your story. So like I said before, I just make sure to add in not a ton of it and mix it in with my day-to-day life. So I won't post more than like once about the product or once about the business a day. And it's always ratioed out by it's my real life and me and a little bit of the product. So I'm still showing them, but you know, the other stuff I'm posting is outweighing a ton. So I hope that was helpful. If you guys have more questions, feel free to comment them on that thread that I started, and I'll go back to answering them. And I'm going to stop talking because I have, what is the word? Cottonmouth? I have cottonmouth now, and I'm being spacey. So I'm going to send it to Jen and let her rock it with that very cute background she has as I'm sitting here with my vacuum. I cannot talk right now. I'm done. I'm sending it to you.
Okay, so like always, I don't really have like a set way of how I want to do things or talk about things. I haven't really been on one of these in a while, and that's on me. But when you're pregnant and you have terrible pregnancies, that's how it goes. But I'm kind of going to go back to the basics, but also kind of like touch on network marketing in general, because a lot of people just jump in. And my dog's eating a pillow. I feel like my dog's being M's dog right now. So I'm kind of like I said, go back to the basics, but also talk about like what is network marketing, what exactly we do in general. But I'm going to touch on these couple points real fast because I've been seeing a lot in the last couple of weeks, like when we do Post Love and all that nonsense. When we go to Post Love, obviously we're like scrolling through, we read each other's comments, what everybody's saying. But I have seen here recently so many people that overdo it when someone's like, hey, can you send me information? like say, hey, I'll message you. Don't put out a paragraph and then nobody's going to read that. First off, I don't even read that. I'm just like, yo, what are you doing? But like, stop doing that. Also, when you make your own post, don't comment 4 or 5 comments from you talking about what it's done for you or the company or this and that. Like, don't be so desperate, because people see that. When I'm going through things, I'm like, yo, why do they have 47 comments? I want to know what they're talking about. And if I comment on it and you're 97 of them, I know that's not correct math. What are you doing? Stop doing that. Let other people come to you, personally message them or say, hey, message me, or hey, I messaged you, whatever it may be, but stop answering questions in the comments. Okay, I was making sure I said that right. But stop doing that, because people literally read it and they're like, okay, I have no reason to even message you or talk more. Because you may have answered something and it may not have been exactly what they were wanting, but now they're afraid to continue. Or maybe they don't want to like keep up the conversation because you're talking about it in comments where everybody can see it. So take it to a private message or get their phone number or whatever it may be and handle the conversation that way. So I just have to touch on that super, super fast. Another thing, a lot of people have been getting discouraged here recently, and I know we don't talk about slow months or we have downtime or whatever it may be, and it's true but not true in a sense. I feel like a lot of people feel like they have downtime or they're having a slow month, and it's because they're the ones being discouraged because maybe they got a couple people who said no, or maybe they got a couple people who were supposed to order and didn't order, because it happens to all of us. And so you've got to stop saying like, well, nobody wants to order from me. And it's like, well, that's the problem right there. If you're not believing that people want what you have, then it's not going to happen regardless. And I struggle with that a lot, especially, like I said, dealing with my rough pregnancy. And I'm like, I don't even want to be here, so why does anybody else want to be here, type of thing. So I get all hyped up when I talk to you guys. I'm really sorry. I deal with toddler all day, so I don't have adult interaction like this ever. But so I've been reading a lot here lately. It's really all I can do pretty much these days. So I wrote down a couple like tips I feel that I want to kind of go over. And GoPro is, I read it a couple of times in our last gig that we did, and I read it twice then, and it didn't mean nothing to me. I was like, I felt like I just skimmed it to skim it because Em told me to do it, because that's who I was with last time. But this time I've literally read it probably 4 times in the last like 2 months, and I can't stop, because every time I reread it, there's something else there. And if you're on my team, there's a book coming to every single one of you. But one of the biggest thing is you must accept a temporary loss of social self-esteem from ignorant people. When people are negative about your business, or they're like, why are you even doing that? Or like, oh, so-and-so, Billy Joe did that and it didn't work for her. Well, kudos to Billy Joe, but you're not that person. You have to stop letting other people's negative thoughts take over your thoughts. Simple as that. You've got to stop it. I know it's hard. But if you know me, I'm a petty Betty, Em's a petty Betty, we're all those people, and we don't care. You know what you have your hands on, and you have to be prideful in that and take advantage of it. Because that one person who's ignorant, you may walk into the next store and they may want to know exactly what you do. Because that happens all the time for me. I get negative people all the time, and I'm just like, shoo, go away. Again, like, we live in a world where people think less of what we do because they strictly do not understand what we do. And a lot of times it's the older generations, or people who, even our age, who maybe they grew up in a household where it's like, you go to school every day, you go to college, you go do this, you go do that, you work for 50 years and you retire. And that's okay that people grew up that way, because I technically grew up that way. I just didn't make it that far. And that's okay. But this is what I found that I love, and I understand it. So that's why I'm not afraid to like preach to the choir when someone's like, oh, that's not going to work. Like, well, what about your retirement fund? I'm sorry. Like, when did you become a part of my business? Second, like, you know what I mean? It's one of those situations. We chose to do this because we know the future it has for us. And you have to understand that when you have bad weeks, small checks, big checks, whatever it may be, that to where you're just like, I don't know if this isn't for me. Take it back to day one as to why you joined. 95% of us, when we brought you on, we were like, and Katie always talked about this, we want to know why you want to do this. Have you ever done network marketing before? No. Okay, so then why are you choosing to do it now? Or if you have done it, why are you giving it a second chance? They're not just another person joining your team. It's not just another customer. Why do they want to lose weight? Why do they want to be healthier? Why do they want to, you know what I mean? Like, stop just using them as a promoter and a customer, and find out why they're choosing to do this. Customers have a why too, not just us promoters. Okay. Let's see. Like I said, I get all hyped up and I'm like, breathe over here. One of the biggest things that I've read here recently that they talk about is don't be a hunter, which means like, don't just not care about the relationships or finding a new recruit or whoever it may be. Like, you have, if your attitude is some will, some won't, some won't, some won't, some what, so what, then it's not, you just need to hang it up. It's not going to work out for you. Like, you can't just get discouraged because it's not going to happen, or today or tomorrow, whatever it may be. Because if you're a hunter and you're literally like, yo, who's going to buy my products? Or, hey, join my team because we make so much money in 2 weeks. That's not realistic, because not everybody hits VIPs in the first 2 weeks. I didn't. The people who do that, that's amazing. You know what I mean? But like, you can't make it just about those bullet points every single time. Because when you hunt people down, everybody's going to feel hunted regardless. They're going to go talk to all their friends. They're going to tell everybody about it, and nobody's going to want to like come and join you. Again, this is kind of sidetracking, but like, samples are a tool. We literally have a physical tool that you can put in people's hands without them signing up and committing to something. Not that you have to commit to a auto ship or anything like that, but people are like, well, nobody wants to buy my products. I'm like, well, have you sold any samples? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'll run out of products myself selling a last sample before I just don't give it to somebody. And I mean, a lot of people may not be like that because they're like, thrive is life and I need it. But I'm one of those people to where it's like, yeah, girl, I'll do it. Or like, I have girls on my team who run out of products. I've run out of products and I'm like, yo, who in my freaking zip code has this? I need it now, type of thing. Like, that's just who we are though. So don't be afraid to ask somebody. Like, I don't know if there would be a way to do it on the team page to find out who lives in what city, because a lot of us, like, some of us live in different cities that are on other girls' teams. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, how did you even find her? I live 10 minutes away from her, type of thing, and I didn't know she was there. I'm going to kind of like slow this down and end this real quick because I know we've been on here a while. Thanks, Em. So 4 basic rules that I literally wrote down from GoPro, like I said, is detach yourself from the income, like part of what we do. It's not just about making money. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I did this to make more money. And I understand that, but it can't just be about the income. I feel like I'm one of those people to where it's like, whether I have money or I don't have money, like, I'm still kind of the same person. And I've always been that way because I came from nothing and I've had everything. And then like, I bounce back and forth a lot with that. But like, it's kind of like touches base on what I just said. It's not just about signing that customer or that promoter. Your goal should be to educate people and to let them understand what we do and the products we have. Like seriously, like, stop thinking of like, hey, I might sign this customer. Why not try to like coach them through? Even if that conversation takes a day or two longer, tell them about our products, teach them about them, let them understand what they do. Because there's so many times where I've gotten like screenshots from girls on my team or other people, and they're like, I don't know where like this went wrong. It's like, you literally never asked what they wanted. You literally just flooded them with everything that you wanted, but not what they wanted. So what? You don't care in that sense. And I'm not afraid to say that. But if you're just there for like, oh my God, I'm getting a promoter. First off, I feel like that jinxes yourself when you're like talking about it. But also, just take a step back, find out what they want. If they're like, hey, what do your products do? Explain what they do, and then stop. I don't care if they read it and they didn't reply. Wait a date or something, like, and then be like, hey, so what did you think about that? But don't just 4 to 5 messages back to back. Like, don't be our last gig. If you were with our last gig, don't do that. Be yourself. Here recently, I've seen a lot of people taking other people's pictures, and that's fine to an extent, I feel, if it's just a sample, because it's like, who really knows if that's your nail or not? But at the same time, to where it's like, yo, that's not your dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to watch what you're sharing to an extent. Like, if you're taking somebody else's, like, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing to take somebody's post and twist it into your own words and change the emojis, but like, change it to you. Don't just change the picture of your dog with your husband's name. Like, don't just do that. Like, make it who you are. Don't be uncomfortable. Just focus on being your best self. We say this all the time. Like, when people go to your page, They don't want to see Katie, Lindsay, Jen, Ariel, everybody else, and then not Sierra, like whoever that is. They want to see who you are, because a lot of people who follow us, they probably, like a lot of my friends, because I've known Em for so long since our last gig, are friends with Em as well. So if I were to share her pictures or take her post and stuff, they would see that, and that's not authentic. So if you have thousands of people on your Facebook, know that you probably have hundreds of mutual friends with a lot of us on the team. And not all of us are just team members. A lot of us are just like, when we do the lives and we share them, they're like, oh, let's add that person. Oh, let's add that person, because people are nosy. So just keep that in mind. Like, don't just take somebody's picture, don't just take somebody's post. This rule number 3, it's bring some passion and enthusiasm to the table, because it's contagious. And I feel like as soon as I read that in that book, I literally thought of Katie, because Katie, her passion and her enthusiasm literally like speaks to you. I don't care if you're watching her first live video she did in the team page, she speaks to you in a way that nobody else ever has, that I've ever met in my life. So just be confident in what we talk about. When people want to know about the products of the business, even if you're nervous, like I get nervous still talking to you people right now, and I know you guys, you have to just know that what you're saying is clearly important enough to where you feel like you need to speak your mind. Like I was just telling him, like, I don't know what to talk about. And she's like, speak whatever's on your heart. And I'm like, we're going to wing it. And this is what we're going with. So just be you. That's all I can really say. And pretty much just try not to be so insecure about it. People see that when they're like, And if, don't be afraid to like tell somebody like, hey, I don't know the answer to that question, but I can totally get back to you with it. Don't just try to make up something to just kind of like bullshit your way through that conversation, because they're going to know, okay? They're going to know. But like I said, I go on my rants and everything else. I just kind of want to like touch base on that. Yeah, like Em said, become the hunted, literally. Like you want people to come after you. You want people to see your stuff. And Instagram is a huge way. Like I said, do the stories, do all of that. I should probably go live on Facebook a lot more, but I'm literally a stay-at-home mom to my toddler for 10 hours a day. And if you know Charlie, she's going to take the phone and she's going to walk away with it. Em knows that. So I can't really do lives that much, but I try to do my best with them. So figure out what works for you, make it work. I've been getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning the past 2 weeks, because that's my only time. And that's when I read. So make it work. Don't tell me that you don't have time, because I'm hugging a toilet most days, okay, people? And I still make it work sometimes. But I hope everybody has a good night. I don't know if anyone else touch on anything anymore, but.
Yeah, I'll close it off super quick. I'll move it fast, though, because I'm losing daylight in here. As you can see, it's completely dark now. But just one thing I will finish off with that I love that she talked about. It's just all those things. And it's what we always say about the authenticity, about being yourself, about getting uncomfortable. But something that I've really focused on this week with myself was getting uncomfortable, and I believe, and I'll always say it's that universe juju stuff, but I feel like when you do stuff that you're uncomfortable with, that's when you grow, and that's when you get rewarded, whether that's your team growing or signing a customer or your paycheck going up or just learning something. When you get uncomfortable, that is when you grow. If something scares you, if it frightens you, if you don't think you want to do it, that's when you need to do it. So whether that is going live more often, whether that's sharing more of your story, just stepping outside of yourself and showing who you are, when you get uncomfortable, that is when stuff will grow for you. And also, I'll say it again because I always do. Like she said, how many times she's read that book and now she's gone back to it. If you feel like you're stuck, pick up a book. And that's like the biggest tip you can ask from anybody that is wealthy, anybody that is a millionaire. They read constantly. And I know that we shove that down your throat and we always say it, but it's so important. Pick up a book. Go on Amazon. You get them for like $10 freaking $12, however much it is, and open a book. And that's something I've really challenged myself to do is, when I'm in the car or before I go to bed, hi, Charlie, any of those things, open a book, try to make it more income producing. And the more you read and the more you grow, like I know if you're like, okay, well, that's not me on Facebook adding people, or that's not me doing something about the company or this, it's still going to grow you. The more that you grow your mind, the more that your business will grow. So get uncomfortable and open a book. It's going to change everything. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. We have the opportunity event tomorrow. So make sure that you hit going on that you're attending. Make sure that you share it tomorrow when we go live, and really just step outside of your comfort zone this week, whether it's going live, whether it's voice messaging, whether it's sharing more of your story, whatever it may be. Get uncomfortable, get your self-development in, get yourself in that routine. And like she talked about, just don't give up on yourself. You can't get down on yourself. It's like in a post I just made like an hour ago, like my vision is literally unstoppable. Like you could make me run through a brick wall. I don't care. Like my dreams are worth it. What I'm working for is worth it. And that's what you have to be at. You have to have that momentum and that mindset where you don't care if maybe it's not happening right now, or maybe people are being naysayers, or maybe, you're not where you want to be. Your why has to be worth it. What you're doing this for has to be worth it. And once you get to that, her child is like beating her up right now. It's going to make you unstoppable. So I'll leave it at that. I hope that y'all have an amazing night. Thank you for hopping on and pouring into yourselves. And we will see you tomorrow night for the opportunity event. Bye.